background checks, period. This man was thrown under the bus at that time when they attempted to do that. That was a little intimidating for a second.
You're supposed to put it as
Not my recording right
Oh,
now.
you're not.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
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 So I witnessed and watched as the District 2 Commissioner and a group of people that, for their own, I believe, self-interest and not in the interest of the children, threw this man under the bus and said they didn't want to have it. When the budget became very difficult, we did have to cut funding for a lot of our leagues, and I think there was a small reduction in what we paid out to the Packer Rattlers, and I don't remember that exactly off the top of my head because it's been a while. But I know that there was issues with Little League and a lot of the other this is a private organizations within our city that we had to do some funding cuts. Didn't eliminate them, but we had to do some funding cuts. So obviously that's not going to make you very popular, and that's going to cause some issues. When we put in background checks, and we didn't just put in background checks, I asked to have it for level 2 background checks to make sure that anybody that came from out of state couldn't come down here and harm our children. People were not happy about that because a lot of longtime friends and people that they thought were from the neighborhood that would do good had horrible criminal records that could not pass the background checks. Despite putting that in place, and despite along the way, one thing I did do when I asked and championed that and had the commission vote on it, and we got that put into place, we asked them to split the cost. You're a private organization. Your best interest, it's your best interest for the children, it's our best interest for the children. Let's split the cost of the background checks. That became a burden to them. So we said, fine, we will fund, because it's important to protect the children that are on the field. We will fund the entire cost of the background checks. We did that. A couple of years ago, 22 coaches for the Packer Rattlers were found to not be able to pass, that were on the field, could not pass the background checks, including one individual who used a fake ID to get an ID badge so he could go on the field.
How many couldn't pass the background?
22.
Oh my
at that time, a couple of years ago. So obviously that tells me that there's something wrong with that organization. The new people that took over the Packer Rattlers, as Ms. Clark-Reed pointed out, that organization, the long-standing, proud organization, the Deerfield Beach Packer Rattlers, started to cease to exist, and a new organization sprung up with people that, quite frankly, had their own agenda, in my opinion. Everybody talks about Packer Rattlers, how we took away. I didn't vote against the Packer Rattlers. I voted for a different direction for the Youth Football League program here in the city of Deerfield Beach. We simply don't have enough fields to do the poor past decisions to field everything that we want to field. We have a very serious problem in our city with not enough parks to do it. So during the football season, we have a very comprehensive program in which we took a Raiders football team. This was our city's run league. And the private organization, the Packer Rattlers, we had two separate organizations that were running football leagues. We combined it into one. And as Commissioner Preston just said, that when that was presented to him, the plan for the McDougal Foundation, he said, great plan, wonderful, but he throws out a caveat on there that says, you got to deal with the Packer Rattlers. Why? Because it was a political football. And quite frankly, if anybody was really interested in the kids and all this passion about them not having a field and all of that, I wish that same passion was there when it came to background checks. And it's interesting to hear Mr. Wayne talk about it because he wasn't there. He wasn't there. The mayor has brought up this issue at many commission meetings here over the past year and a half probably, so he may have caught one, but quite frankly, Mr. Wayne hasn't been here to see what the history of this really was. I think it's a shame that people, for their own personal reasons, are trying to divide that district and make this a racial issue when it's not about race. They said, well, you're handing it to somebody who's from outside of the city. The very person from the Packer Rattlers that was standing up and saying this lived in Lauderdale Lakes. And they were criticizing the McDougals because they were from Pompano. The very same people that are saying, well, it's racist that you're doing this. We were giving it to an organization that's run by predominantly African Americans. Matter of fact, not even predominantly, entirely, I believe. It's not about color, it's not about race. It is about color to some. One color is green, money.
Okay, let's go back to Mr. Preston.
Well, let me just respond to that. I did say to the McDougal Foundation, what about the Packer Rattlers? Why did I do that? It wasn't political. This was an organization that had been in place for over 40 years. And I don't know if you can find any organization that has been in business for a long time or have had an establishment for a long time, that along the way haven't had some problems. I believe that they all do. And I just asked them to basically integrate what they were trying to do, all these wonderful things that they wanted to do, bring it in. And he was talking about background checks, okay? You know, it's funny that he mentions that, because in the 40-year history of the Packer Rattlers, the city had not been sued. They voted in, endorsed first, and voted